Michigan's 8th District is a very special place to me. It was where I was born and raised, where I attended schools, where I built my businesses, and where my wife and I are now raising our 3 children. I have a vested interest in this community and the future of my children, and that's exactly why I've been so involved and why I chose a path in public service. Government should work for the people and not the other way around. That said, the people that I represent have told me they want me to focus on issues that are important to them, like building a better economy that encourages job growth, balancing the federal budget, ensuring that our country is safe and secure, accessible and affordable health care, better schools, and affordable higher education. There is simply so much that we can do if we work together. But in order to do so, we need proven problem solvers, not divisiveness. I have a strong record of bringing people together and working with community leaders to come up with real solutions. You know me, and the voters of the 8th District know me. Party bosses looking to advance their own agenda will always spread mistruths. But we know each other. And I appreciate the trust and confidence that you have shown in my public service. I thank you for the invitation tonight, and I look forward to a substantive discussion.
Ms. Gurley?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Congressman Bishop, for being here. Thank you all for having me. I am a first-generation American. My parents immigrated here in search of opportunity. My story is not different than that of many American stories. My parents were able to come here, open up a small diner. We grew up working alongside of them, and it was through watching their hard work that instilled in me the values who I am today. That you always give back more than you receive, that you always keep your word, and that you take less than you need. My parents always pushed upon my siblings and I to get educated. I was fortunate enough to go to Oakland University, put myself through school, went to Thomas M. Cooley Law School, and feeling so grateful for the opportunities that I had, I chose to become a prosecutor. I spent my days in the courtroom fighting to protect women, children from dangerous predators. Doing that has given me the tenacity to take on the tough fights in Congress that are not being addressed. Everywhere I hear that we need access to good paying jobs, that we need to protect our Social Security and Medicare, and that we need to make college more affordable. If you're looking for somebody who's willing to stand up to both parties to fight for middle class families, then you're going to vote for Susanna Strong on November 8th. Thank you.
The first question will go to Ms. Gurley. College affordability is a major concern to parents and students. It's estimated 42 million individuals owe 1.3 trillion in student debt. Many recent college graduates find their lives on hold and cannot afford independent living. What should this country do to make college affordable?
As somebody who's saddled with student loan debt, I know that rising cost of tuition is a serious problem. How are we supposed to have our students want to stay in Michigan, build that house, start that family when they're crushed? There are some common sense approaches that we can implement. If you're able to refinance your mortgage and refinance your small business loan at a smaller interest rate, then you should definitely be able to refinance your student loan debt. We also should look at expanding public loan forgiveness programs. And we should also look at expanding access to Pell Grants, which would make college more affordable for more students instead of looking to slash them or cut them. We need to, it's not fair. You go to school, you work so hard, you want to get ahead, and these student loan debts are a serious problem for the current generation and for the next generation, and we need some common sense solutions.
I'm on the Education and Workforce Committee in Congress, and this is one of our primary issues, and I've been working on it from day one. I have a nephew who's got a $250,000 student loan debt and can't get a job. We are living in untenable circumstances, and we need to address it and address it immediately. One of the first things I did, in fact, I was the first member of the freshman class in Congress to get a bill signed into law and it dealt directly with affordability of higher education. And I'm proud to have done that, working with Democrats and Republicans to get that job done. There are a lot of ways we can address higher education costs, but we've got to bring colleges to the table as well, talk to them and figure out how they can address their costs. I just spoke with someone recently in the higher education environment, to give you an example. The cost of big government for higher education is crushing local universities and colleges. If we can just get the government to stop with its regulations, one of which, the overtime rule, is going to impose $1 million, several $1 million on Olivet University, for example, and that will be passed right now to the students in tuition hikes. The University of Michigan will have a $40 or $50 million cost as far as this new regulation is concerned. Big government is killing our universities, our private sector, our small business, and our families. And it's one of the issues that we need to continue to address. And I'm very happy to be a part of the team that's addressing this right now in Congress.
Next question, Congressman Bishop.
Yes.
During the presidential campaign, you have come out in support of your party's nominee for president. In light of recent developments, do you still support your party's nominee?
There is no excuse. Trump has made disgusting comments. As a father and a parent, I am appalled by the remarks. But let's be clear. I'm not running for president. She's not running for president. I'm a candidate for the United States Congress. I have admonished Trump for his inappropriate remarks, but it's time to move on and focus on issues that are important and not personal attacks. Citizens of this community came here to discuss issues that are important to them. They want to hear us talk about how we can address the lagging economy and ways to encourage businesses to hire our friends and neighbors who are out of jobs, our $20 trillion national debt, national security, both here and abroad. We have awful problems around this world with Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and let's not forget ISIS. Healthcare reform. The Affordable Care Act is crushing our families and breaking the backs of small business. Education, we just talked about that. Making sure that educators and local communities have the best possible tools for the best educational environments, and that we address higher education, the cost of higher education. There are too many issues to be talking about than to get pulled into the gutter and continue to talk about Donald Trump and what he said.
Ms. Bradley, the question is, do you support your party's nominee?
Well, let me first off by saying that I'm a prosecutor. I spend my days in the courtroom fighting against people who sexually assault women, who sexually assault children, and I fight every day to keep dangerous predators off the street. So when the presidential nominee of one of our two major parties is making those type of statements, I don't take it lightly. It is an issue. It's a very big issue. The voters in this room throughout our district want to know who their party's nominee is going to be voting for president. So let's be clear. Congressman Mike Bishop has endorsed Donald Trump in light of the comments that Donald Trump has made. He has denigrated a war hero. He has insulted the family of a Gold Star fallen soldier. He has made fun of a disabled reporter. And he is now making light of sexual assault. This is an issue. And the voters in this room need to, and throughout this entire district, have the right to know if their congressman is going to be supporting Donald Trump.
Go ahead.
Do I have a response time to that?
And, I'm sorry, I have 30 seconds. I still have 30 seconds, is that correct?
Or if you're still going, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, I do support Hillary Clinton. She is the most qualified of the two. She has experience, she has the strength that she has shown throughout her career and throughout this campaign. And we need to make sure that we are headed in the right direction.
I think in this country we have two clear choices. It's about our future. We can either stay on the path that we're on right now, which I think is extremely dangerous for this country, or we can take a new path. to address the many issues of this country. And that said, I think the choice is clear. All of these discussions and all of these attacks about one candidate and not further discussion about the other candidate, come on. This is about our future. And when I tell people about this, I say to them, it's not who you're voting for, it's what you're voting for.
You got that right. You got that right.
Again, if I could ask people to hold their applause to the end of all the questioning. Next question from Ms. Scarelli. It's estimated there are currently 11 million illegal immigrants living in the United States. At the same time, the United States remains the preferred destination for many living in Central and South America. What legislation would you support to deal with the estimated 11 million legal immigrants residing in the U.S.? And secondly, what legislation would you support to deal with the ongoing number of individuals trying to enter the United States illegally?
Well, let me first off start by saying that, as a first-generation American, I understand the important roles that immigrants play, and I think all of us should, everybody in this room, everybody in this country should be happy that America has always been a place that other people can call home. That's who we are. As a prosecutor, I understand and respect the rule of law, and I understand that our immigration system is broken. And when I'm elected to Congress, I'm going to make sure that I am fighting for comprehensive immigration reform that addresses a number of issues. Our first issue is that we have to secure our borders. Our second issue is that we do have 11 million undocumented immigrants working and living in this country. We need a tough but fair path to citizenship for those 11 million immigrants to come out from the shadows and join us, and to become tax-paying members of our society. And finally, this comprehensive immigration reform, this bipartisan immigration reform, is going to be one that doesn't tear our families and our neighbors apart. And that's important. And it's important for all of us to put partisan politics aside and to make sure that we're getting things done and we're headed in the right direction.
I've heard this plan. This is the Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi plan, talking points about open borders and amnesty. It's not going to solve our problem, it's going to make it worse. We live in a country we're a nation of immigrants, but we're also a nation of laws. And we have an administration that refuses to enforce the laws. So we don't need immigration reform, we need to enforce the laws that we have. The Syrian refugee crisis, in large part due to the fact that the Obama administration has failed in the Middle East, hasn't even attempted to stand up to Bashar al-Assad. According to the State Department, we've got 11,600 Syrian refugees that came to the United States last fiscal year, and they plan on the same amount next year. And given the instability in the region, groups openly operating, it's imperative for the United States Customs Service and intelligence community to conduct a very thorough vetting process. I've had a chance to speak with the Director of Homeland Security and also with the FBI Director, and they tell us that they have no way of vetting these individuals coming to Syria. So we need to resolve that before we have an open door policy and a policy of amnesty. It's not fair to the current immigrants and those that have come here legally and gone through our process.
Bob?
Yes, I do not support amnesty. I support a tough but fair path to citizenship.
Amnesty.
We need to make sure that we are keeping Americans safe. That's my first priority. My tough but fair path to citizenship means that the people that haven't been playing by the rules get to the back of the line, pay back taxes, and if there are any criminals, that they're not staying. So just so we're clear, I do not support amnesty. Thank you.
Next question for Congressman Bishop. With the Supreme Court decision in Citizens United case, individuals can make unlimited and undisclosed donations. Some would argue billionaires use this quote-unquote dark money to drown out the voices of ordinary citizens. Should actions be taken to overturn Citizens United?
There are all kinds of problems with the way in which we conduct our campaigns. And I've been the recipient of funds that attack. And it's never fair, and it's never right. We need to address the problem, there's no question about it. When I was in the Michigan legislature, one of my first bills was a campaign finance reform. And to me, it's the direction we ought to be going. And it has to do with transparency and disclosure. I was the one that introduced the bill, and the bill was passed. That requires $0 reporting in the state. It is a model for the rest of the country. It requires anybody who contributes to a campaign provide their name and address and disclose it fully. It's always good to have transparency. It's always good to have folks sharing where their money is coming from. I don't know if there's a way for us to completely address the issues facing this country and the financial fluctuations with campaigns. But I do know that transparency and disclosure is a very important part of that process, and I do support it.
I wholeheartedly believe that we need to do everything we can to reverse Citizens United. It is not fair that in this country, one person's voice is not as loud as the others because they have more money. That's not what American democracy is about, and it's time that that changes. Being a first-time candidate and running for office, it's unbelievable how much money is needed to get your message to the people, and that is going to be one of my first priorities once I'm elected. In addition to transparency and undue influence, there is this tone of receiving money and then voting a certain way. Congressman Bishop has supported privatizing Social Security and has received $62,000 from Wall Street. That would cost us, that would cost senior citizens, but Wall Street would make billions. Congressman Bishop has taken $111 grand from insurance industries. That would cost us thousands. And it would have the insurance company would make billions. And it's not right. It's time that things change.
This is, again, attack and throw mud at the wall and hope that something sticks. All of it's an outright lie, but it's impossible for me to answer all of it. It just really is impossible. As to privatization of Social Security, the truth is I will preserve, protect, and strengthen Social Security and Medicare. And that's all I've done. I've used my influence to do that. This is a political football that's being used just to muddy the water. If you look at what I've actually done, it does not square with the allegations being leveled. And by the way, you accept special interest money as well, Susanna, and you have accepted PAC money as well. So before you cast the first stone.
Next question, Ms. Squirrelli. Many citizens believe Washington, D.C. is broken because too many legislators refuse to work with the opposing party and nothing gets done. Would you be willing to compromise, and how would you go about creating a relationship with legislators from the other side of the aisle?
So I don't care if the idea is a Republican idea, a Democratic idea. As long as it's a good idea, I want to make it work. I want to make it work for Michigan's middle-class families here in the 8th District and throughout this entire country. Congress is broken. I'm hearing it out on the campaign trail every day. People are tired of a broken Congress. They're tired of the partisanship. They're tired of the name-calling. They want someone who's willing to stand up for both parties to get things done. And that's what I am poised to do. I spend my days in the courtroom advocating alongside the attorney across the aisle, and when we leave the courtroom, we still have respect. We still have decorum. That's the type of attitude we need. I'm willing to stand up to anybody to make sure that the interests of Michigan's 8th is being represented in Congress.
I have always believed that good government requires bipartisanship. When I was in the Michigan legislature, I worked with Democrats every day. When I was a Senate Majority Leader in Michigan, I worked with the Democrats. I was in the minority. The House was ruled by the Democrats, and Jennifer Granholm was our governor. I had a responsibility to balance a $48 billion budget, and I did. And I did it with 2 Democrats. I developed a great relationship with the Speaker of the House, and I still maintain that relationship. He's a good friend of mine. It's about good government, and it's not about personalities. And we figured that out in Michigan. Now in Congress, I've had the opportunity, like I said, to be one of the first Republicans to get a bill signed into law. And it's not because I charged forward with just Republicans, it's because I worked with Democrats to make sure that we did the right thing. And even the President was thankful for what we did. I also have several other bills pending in Congress right now, and my chief co-sponsor is a Democrat. It will always be, because that's how you get things done. And if we are ever going to get this country moving again, we have to talk about those big issues that I talked about earlier. No one side is going to get this done by themselves. We've got to work together to save Social Security. We've got to work together to reverse what's going on in this economy. We've got to work together to find out how to repeal and replace Obamacare. There are so many things that we have to do together, and we can't do it alone. So I'm a proven problem solver, and I think that I've done a lot to prove that I can work with Democrats.
You have a rebuttal? Or?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
If I'm not mistaken, I do believe that when Congressman Bishop was in the state Senate, that the government was shut down. And I think that if the record is clear, this is the most ineffective Congress in our history. That should give all of you some great pause. We have to put partisan politics aside. We can't just follow party line, because if that were the case, then maybe things would be different in regards to Congressman Bishop's endorsement of Donald Trump.
Next question for Congressman Bishop.
Did I get a chance to respond to that?
No, wouldn't have. Moving on. Tell us something about yourself that no one knows, but you're willing to share.
Sorry.
Yes, Congressman Bishop.
Wow, that's interesting. I think the most important part of who I am today is the fact that I was raised with 4 older sisters. It taught me a whole heck of a lot on how to be a good person, how to be empathetic, how to be just a better human being. And I'm grateful for parents who stood by my side during very difficult times, who loved me and who cared for me and gave me a great family environment to grow up in. That is the key to my success. I still live within 5 miles of my parents. They're 83 years old now. My dad is still my best friend and is my mentor. And I take great pride in that. But I share that with you only because I think it's important for you to know what drives me every day. And I was always taught to be a part of my community and be a good citizen. And I attribute that all to my family.
So I don't know probably most of the people in the room aside from my family, but I actually grew up playing ice hockey. I spent many years at Lakeland Ice Arena playing girls travel hockey, and you know, that taught me a certain type of discipline. It taught me how to be tough. It taught me how to never back down when you know that what you're fighting for is what's right. And you know, I share in Congressman Bishop's sentiment about family as well. I mean, all of us love our family very dearly, and I'm very proud to have been raised with love, and faith, and hard work.
Next question for Ms. Swelling. Here in the United States, one of the biggest threats is from homegrown terrorists, those who are second generation and citizens. What measures would you support to reduce the threat of homegrown terrorists?
Well, let me first off start by saying that my first priority is always to keep Americans safe. And you know, the growing threat of terrorism is something that's real and something that we see all the time. We have to make sure that we are taking a very strong approach, a tough and smart approach, when we're dealing with organizations like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and the like. We need to make sure that we are, when we're dealing with terrorism abroad, that we are working with our allies in bombing ISIS strongholds, that we are denying the resources that these organizations need to do their job, or what they view as their job. And we need to make sure that we're working with our allies to support them on the ground. In regards to homegrown terrorism, we need to work with our people here in identifying homegrown terrorism, radicalization, that we're pointing that out, that we're working together, that we are rooting it out, that we are expanding access to FBI agents, that we are also beefing up our screening process for people that are trying to come here under the guise of refugee status or immigration status, so that we are ultimately keeping Americans safe.
The primary function of government is to ensure the safety and well-being of its citizens. That said, my responsibility in Congress, if I do anything, is to ensure that the people in this country are safe. And I take that very seriously. There are so many things that are going on around this country that have caused all of us great concern. I get calls about it every day. People are panicked, fearful for themselves and for their family. So we have to be doing everything in our power to ensure that we're keeping you safe. Unfortunately, our borders have become a sieve. We have open borders as it is right now, no enforcement of our laws, much to do with the failed immigration policy by this administration. We have sanctuary cities in this country where the law does not apply. And as a former prosecutor, as a prosecutor for your sake, Suzanne, and me as a former prosecutor, I would think that would cause you great pause. And if we are going to address this issue, we have to make sure the laws apply to everyone equally and not create these sanctuaries where all of this can begin to percolate and cause problems with the rest of the community. Caitlin Steinley and her family came in to testify, and it was heartbreaking. And I think we got to do whatever we can do to get rid of sanctuary cities.
Well, we've run out of time for questions, so we're going to move to closing statements. Ms. Grelli, you can go first.
I just want to say thank you all for being here today, and thank you, Congressman Bishop, for being here as well. You know, as a prosecutor, I take great pride in being in the courtroom, fighting to protect the most vulnerable members of our society, women and children, from sexual assault, and keeping dangerous predators off the street. I get more done in the courtroom in one day than Congress does all session. I am in there standing up to criminals, making sure that they're being held accountable for their wrongdoings. That has given me the tenacity to take this tough fight to Congress, to make sure that we are fighting for access to good paying jobs, that we are protecting our Social Security and our Medicare, that we're making college more affordable, that we are putting middle class initiatives before partisan politics, that we are getting things done. And that is what I am poised to do. And I hope that you will support me on November 8th and send somebody to Congress who's tired of this do-nothingness and who's ready and willing to fight for you.
Well, I want to begin by thanking our sponsors, the Chambers of Commerce of Brighton, Howell, and Hartland, and also Livingston Daily for hosting this event tonight. I also want to thank Susanna for a spirited discussion and a civil discussion. I think that's important. Government needs to work for the people and not the other way around. There are so many issues that we need to be talking about, and unfortunately the climate that we're in prevents us from doing that. I encourage you to go to my website, electmikebishop.com, and my official website if you want to see more discussion about issues. But I look forward to working with all of you to build a better economy and encourage job growth. Get government off the backs of small businesses and families. Balance the federal budget. Ensure our safety both here and abroad. Address the issues of education and higher education, all of which we can do together if we elect a proven problem solver. I'm grateful for your being here tonight. I'm grateful for the fact that you're willing to listen to the issues. It's a breath of fresh air after this last week. And I want you to know how much I appreciate the opportunity to serve you in Congress. And I would be honored to have your vote this November. Thank you.